And we might as well be the non-prophets. I'm Denis Loubet, along with Jamie Boone, Kevin Stein, and Derek Hawke. We're coming to you from the Free Thought Library in Austin, Texas on the 15th of December, 2019. Of course, if it wasn't us, it'd be someone else, and if it wasn't now, it'd be some other time. Anyway, this show is sponsored by the Atheist Community of Austin, but so what? Would a different nonprofit educational organization for the promotion of positive atheism and the separation of church and state make any difference? Of course not. And if you wanted to learn more about that other organization, what would you do? Well, you'd call a voicemail other than 512-220-6561 or visit a website that's not www.atheist-community.org, and the result would be the same. The Non-Prophets broadcasts every first and third Sunday of each month from 3 to 4:30 Central Time. But if we didn't, some other show would. And if you wanted to join the chat room of that other show, you would be advised to avoid following the directions at www.nonprofitsradio.com and seek a different website. So you might as well sit back and enjoy someone else's show.
Or ours.
Or this one, yeah. You should definitely watch, like, subscribe, ring that bell, comment to say, hey, what's up, because that helps the algorithm.
That felt counterintuitive.
But surely one show's just as good as another.
Every episode, Dennis, we point out that you have, like, DenisLoubet.com and Main Quest Studios where people can go and see your art and buy your stuff. And then at the beginning of this one, you're like, nah, go somewhere else.
But those websites are special.
It's reverse psychology, man.
Yeah.
It works.
I was going to say, definitely don't keep watching.
Well, don't do it.
Don't hit like or subscribe or ring the bell or comment.
That's right.
It's like,
Kevin, can you do
Don't
something
you
for me?
dare.
Kevin, can you do something? Can do this? I don't know.
We dare you not to.
There we go.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
yeah.
I don't know.
Actually, speaking of, you said different people at a different time.
Yeah.
Next coming episode is not going to be us at a regular date and time, which would be January 5th.
Is it going to be a super secret announcement we're not announcing yet?
Yes, it will be.
Yeah, I just wanted to help you out there.
Oh, shit. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, so working on that
Okay.
with people for ages. I'm sitting right here. It's fine.
Need to know only.
Need to know only.
I may have forgotten.
It's fine.
Yeah.
We're too cool to touch you.
Derek, how you been?
I've been doing good.
It's good to have you on.
Yeah. Spent the day filming 4 back-to-back episodes of Atheist Vanguard, from which I am the star.
Wow.
One of the stars.
As I say, yeah.
Yep.
You know, you guys have a good spread of people over there.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Atheist Vanguard is a show that we do. It's pre-taped. We go out and get interviews with various people. We ask them what they believe, why, and then we take it back to the studios and do a roundtable. We are just about to wrap up our first season.
Wow.
All right. I keep meaning to get on there, but
Surely you're all atheisted out.
No. And if you want to get atheist out, please tune in on Sundays at 3 p.m. On the YouTubes.
Actually, basically what you should do is just mark out your calendar for Sunday and watch the ACA shows that start at 1 p.m. and then don't end until 7 or whatever.
yeah, something like that.
There's like solid 6 hours with a couple breaks for bathrooms of content you should watch.
Crazy.
Including this fantastic show. What have you been up to in the last period of time, Kevin?
Work for the most part. I've been, working on some projects. I finished up a little coffee table the other week. It looks really nice. Getting back into woodworking is one of my favorite hobbies. So
Cool.
I've been doing illustrations and figuring out my health insurance from the ACA. Yes, not this ACA, the other ACA.
Yeah, we had the name first. Thanks, Obama.
Obamacare. Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we know you care. God. Yeah. So I don't have any super big news. I've been getting my own stuff together. I've been streaming on Twitch a bit. I haven't released a lot on my YouTube channel, Jamie the Heathen, but I have streamed on Twitch a couple of times, which is Twitch at Jamie the Heathen. and I'm still tweeting things at Jamie the Heathen and Instagramming things at Jamie the Heathen. And you should definitely, oh God,
Are you a heathen?
like, subscribe, follow, comment, and tune in. There it is.
Wow.
And ring the bell.
All right.
Also
What type of comment are you doing on Twitch?
on Twitch. So I've been doing Skyrim a bit, and then just what.
Awesome.
Usually it's directed. So if you'd like to hear me talk about something, if you show up and mention it in the chat, I'll probably talk about it ad nauseum, and then you'll tell me to stop, and I'll move on to the next one. So,
But you play games on this.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gaming.
Okay.
Are you talking about the games or just about anything?
Well, I mean, I start with the game because that's what's
Yeah.
there, but I'll talk about anything that people want to talk about.
Wide ranging. Okay.
Almost.
So I'm a little behind times. Are you actually getting paid for people to watch you play games?
I mean, no.
Okay.
That'd be cool. I've set up a Patreon as well, mostly. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I think
But
you can.
You can, yeah. Eventually, when Twitch decides that you're good enough, they bless you with the, oh, you're doing work. We decide to pay or whatever. But mostly it's engagement, and I like talking about the issues and stuff. So,
What's your? Do you have an audience yet?
I mean, what?
How many people watch you play your game?
There haven't been that many yet. So you could get in on the ground floor.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. Jamie the Heathen. How's it going?
If you need any help PR, I'm there for you, man.
PR?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Get the word out. Help you get the word out. Encourage you. Hold your hand to get people exposed to the Jamie Heathen experience.
So part of my problem is that I like the content and the research and the knowing about the issues. It's all of the technical and performing and figuring out how to get paid and trying to get money and do marketing that I'm sort of like,
That's right.
This
and
is
so
a chore.
I give you my gift to you
And so-
is the term the Eric the Heathen experience. Because it is an experience. Because I know you well enough to know that any action with you is an experience.
That's true, I suppose.
So,
Not
in a good way.
I'm going to give the one that's Eric the Heathen to Eric, and I'm going to take the Jamie the Heathen one. Ha ha, zing.
Blah.
But yeah.
so would you say that we're incredibly lucky and spoiled to have our awesome production team then?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. They work very hard, and if you wanted to support the efforts of these volunteers and the mission of this organization, you could go to patreon.com/TheNonProphets. As opposed to patreon.com/Jamie.
Yeah.
That's definitely going to get cut out because I don't know what the standards are. So.
Yeah.
So are we...
With that, we have actually a number of emails about last episode.
Yeah.
You want to jump into some of those?
I can try that.
All right.
Okay, let's see. This one is from Andrea. Hi, just a little thought after the latest episode of The Non-Prophets where you were talking about how clergy should not report a crime confessed to them and the excuses given. If you commit a crime independently of your standing with God, and if you get into heaven or not, you now have a debt to pay to society and to the state. What about render unto Caesar? And indeed,
Good point. Yeah.
Is that the most dodged phrase? Is that the most dodged rule that's set up in the Bible?
Yeah, I mean, what is it? Render unto Caesar what is Caesar.
Yeah.
Render unto God what is God's.
what is God.
Yeah.
Follow the law.
I believe it in the context was that the Pharisees had approached Jesus and was asking him about their obligation to pay taxes.
Yeah.
Because, all the Pharisees did was wait in the back wings and try to trick Jesus into a gotcha moment.
Yeah. Just like atheists are doing.
Yeah, I think I always see them like the bad guy from Aladdin with his little parrot. That's how I envision the Pharisees looking
Jafar?
like
Yeah.
Jafars. Yeah, a bunch of Jafars.
Yeah, so was it Jesus himself who said render unto Caesar?
I believe so.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
And so
Is
as a
quoted as
result,
saying.
churches don't pay taxes.
Yeah, I think
Great.
the explanation that I got was, or that stands out in my memory, is it was a clever dodge because if he said, if he said it one way, the tax collectors would lock him up, and if he went the other direction,
The Romans.
the Roman people would
The Roman guards.
yeah, they would turn on him. So he was like,
Sedition.
I'm going to take kind of the middle ground and say nothing.
I think you mean I've been inspired and am God and knew this answer definitely before and definitely not impacted by where I am or what date it is, and it's super Jesus, right? That's what all the Christians tell me.
Well, it's like he
you could say
outsmarted
that
the
too.
Pharisees.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in the context of this email, what is
mean
she
to catch
saying? Is that she owes a debt to, or the molesting priest owes a debt to society to pay for this crime before they can get to heaven, or
Yeah, is what she's saying.
Yeah.
So it's unstated,
okay,
but
yeah.
her point could be defended with
Well, yeah.
social contract.
Here's
theory.
some follow up here. Render unto Caesar is the beginning of a phrase attributed to Jesus in the Synoptic Gospels, which reads in full, "Render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's." Boy, that. What if those are in conflict?
What do you mean, what if they're in conflict? The things that are Caesar's, and the things that are God's. And you can all interpret that statement
Yeah,
about what is the
any way
correct
you
thing.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can assign priority.
Because if it's should we pay taxes, it's
I
does
believe-
this money belong to Caesar or God?
I believe according to Romans that can never be in conflict because God has installed that government is the rightful government. Therefore, they are following God's divine plan. I believe that's in Romans.
Yeah. This phrase has become a widely quoted summary of the relationship between Christianity, secular government, and society. The original message, coming in response to a question of whether it was lawful for Jews to pay taxes to Caesar, gives rise to multiple possible interpretations about the circumstances under which it is desirable for Christians to submit to earthly authority.
At all times, like the Bible instructs in the New Testament and the Old.
Right.
Hey, Derek, were you saying that in the book of Romans?
Obey the government, for God is the one who put it there. Romans 13, chapter 1, verse 2.
Unless it's Obama.
Unless it's Obama. Yep.
Jesus wept, Unless he's black. Shit.
Jeez, yeah.
Sorry, I objective achieved.
Sorry
These
to
two have
say.
laughed on the air. All right.
That was blad.
Blah. Yeah. So that's it's a good question, but it's also the part on it that is more expansive is because they owe a duty to society and the state, right? Do you have the email on hand still?
Yes, I do.
I was gonna say, did you already drop it on the?
No, I have not dropped it upon the floor.
Yeah.
The only thing added is, love your shows, keep atheisting hard. And so we will.
Okay.
Thank you.
I will. This joke would be better suited for Thursday. I mean, I'm not hard at the moment, but I'll keep.
I mean, I
I'll
was
keep
thinking
doing
the
my
same
best
thing,
for
but yeah.
atheism. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah.
Shall I drop it on the floor now?
Yeah, that's
I
always good.
suppose
All right.
It's always good to hear someone else that likes.
Do we do
civics
another
like
one,
me.
or do we go to a story?
Another one.
Another one.
Let's
All
knock
right.
out the emails.
This one is from Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer.
No last name.
Hello, fellas. I have another take on the Titanic lifeboat scenario. Instead of thinking of it as women and children first, perhaps you would be more comfortable with the mantra of protect the vulnerable. Valid point. Consider the possibility of an elderly and frail gentleman. Would you put him in the lifeboats or expect him to fend for himself? I suspect your instinct would be to protect him. What about a man in his prime, but who uses a wheelchair? Lifeboat or deep water? I suspect you would choose to protect him as well. We are a social species, and we rely on each other in order to survive as a group. Elephants are also social species in which the adult males remain outside of the social group. When there's a threat to the herd, the matriarchs circle around, facing outward in all directions, protecting the elderly, the young, the injured, any member of the group who needs extra protection. This has nothing to do with gender, but with protecting the group as a whole. The instinct to protect the vulnerable is a valid one, but the notion that vulnerability is tied to gender should be discarded. All right.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree.
I
with you.
agree. Now, I would, to throw a wrench into it, I would say, well, I bet the elderly and frail gentleman would refuse to go on the boat.
Oh, okay.
And I bet the guy in the wheelchair would say, no, put this woman on the boat instead of me. That's
you would be being benevolently sexist.
Yes, and they are being self-sacrificing.
Yeah.
And while they were having this
and condescending at the same time.
Yeah.
God damn it.
And while they were having this debate, I would get in the lifeboat and be done with it.
There you go.
Self-preservation.
Yeah. So it lends itself to an interesting and diabolical philosophical hypothetical situation of, okay, you have lifeboats enough for 5 people. Here are 20 people. Which 5 survive?
Right.
And it is very much like a modified trolley problem.
Yeah, and it's going to be different viewpoints, different answers from different viewpoints. I would go, let's put the elderly man in there, but the elderly man would go, no, I refuse.
He might, yeah.
If he's the typical, English gentleman on the Titanic sailing to America.
Yeah.
Well, there's that. He's lived his life.
Yeah, that's what he'd say.
I'm ready to die now.
I'm ready to die.
Let me tell you the tale of my life.
You're gone give
already.
my place to another so they may survive.
You know what I have to say about this? The Titanic? Did anybody ever watch that movie and just wish it would end differently every time they watched it?
Nah.
I did. I was like, that
would be
poor
bizarre.
Leonardo, let her go. Let her go.
Get up on that thing with her.
Don't draw her naked.
I was gonna say, did you never go swimming as a child? Play King of the Hill. That's your door.
Yeah.
No,
Keep the blue necklace. Keep it.
Okay, that one definitely.
Yeah.
I would watch that movie over again, and I'd be all sad, hoping it'd end differently every time I watched it.
I was gonna say.
Yeah. Well, I think it would benefit from blue aliens, but still.
Yes. Yes.
Well, no.
Avatar on the Titanic.
I was thinking of The Abyss.
The Abyss, yes, a water spout alien.
James Cameron as well.
Yep.
So the thing that I would add to my diabolical hypothetical, diabolical is flattering, but is that you don't know how difficult it will be for the 5 people in the lifeboat to survive. So, for example, if you only put people in there that don't have survival skills or can't use tools, you might have just ended everyone's life.
Especially if 2 of those people on the lifeboat are me and Jamie.
Hey, motherfucker, I'm an Eagle Scout. All right.
Oh, I'm talking about the other people.
You're
Me and
each
you'd be
other's
okay.
throat. You can't get anything done.
We'd be out there. We'd have enough food, enough space to lay out, and a trail of bodies. And then me singing, I'm king of the mountain.
I was going to say...
no, I'm sorry, king of the world.
Yes, we appreciate everyone else's sacrifice.
Yeah. Lifeboats don't facilitate making a fire to cook meat very well.
No,
and
very much.
Sure, do what you can to survive, but I'm not really a fan of raw human meat.
No, we'd fish.
Okay.
We can fish. We have plenty of bait.
There's a joke in there, and I'm going to let it go.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
You know what? Wow, I am so in this philosophy thing. I just let that dick joke go by.
There's a first for everything.
Well, anyway,
I was going to say,
yes, that was a good response, but it opened a further can of worms.
Yeah. Because then
Thank you, Jennifer.
Because there's also that brings up the one, what is the best option for who gets in the lifeboat, and 2, what is the decision making process?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then of course we can have an AI decide the optimal.
Well, I was
scientifically optimal.
Yeah, but optimal for
population
what?
On each.
Well, that's really
boat.
easy. The best decision would be me on that boat, and who makes a decision? Me.
I was going to say, okay. We'll delve into that another time.
I would pull your hair to get on that lifeboat first.
Why would you? Why? While you're pulling my hair and scratching me,
guns?
Everyone else gets on the boat. So,
So before we move on, actually,
before we get out of the boat.
So I think the problem is it's a very, I mean, I think I said this once or twice last episode, but it's a very binary kind of issue in regards to the benevolent sexism thing.
Yeah.
And devil's advocate here, in an emergency situation, would that be better? Because time is an issue.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would what be better?
A simplified version of how are we going to basically triage who gets to get on the lifeboat or not.
So if we give that scenario, say we have a boat that fills 5 people, and we put an elderly person, we put a handicapped person, we put maybe a remainder 3 children. Are they going to survive out on the open sea for a number of days in frigid cold weather?
Right.
Whereas if you had one person who was handicapped, one person who was able, maybe 2 people, 2 children, even 3 children.
Well, so there's no one that was like Stephen Hawking was not on the Titanic, so even a person with a disability could be helpful in a survival situation.
But Kathy Bates was.
What?
Okay.
Wait, what? Was on the Titanic?
Yeah, she was new money.
Oh, you're talking about the movie that I haven't seen.
Aren't we talking about the movie?
No.
We're talking about real
Derek,
people.
I
on the
haven't seen it,
Titanic.
so I just thought you were insane for a
I
second.
think the point you were making.
Where
I think the point you were making was actually a good one. It was
for once.
So we engage in this benevolent sexism, and all the most vulnerable people get on the life raft, and then they're the most likely to not survive the voyage on the life raft. So have we done any actual good? Did we just prolong their suffering?
Right.
Was it a disservice?
Another person wrote in with a similar observation.
Yeah.
Andrew says, in a sexist, patriarchal society, if you're a man, you're more likely to have combat training and experience with weapons. So you have a better chance of living through the fight than a woman would. I imagine if there's some sort of fight involved. Children are vulnerable not because society is sexist, but because they're small, weak, and inexperienced. So giving priority access to women and children as a rule of thumb to help the largest number of people survive. In a society with equal numbers of female fighters, the rule might be children and elders first.
I was going to say, it's worth stating that this isn't really a rule, and that...
Right.
Yeah.
It's sort of an unspoken policy.
I'm actually not even sure that that's the case.
Really?
Like, when you they're not waiting around to figure out, okay, which of all of the... It's like, okay, you're here now, here's a boat, get off, it's sinking. But, or raft, I should
that's
say.
what they did in the movie.
Right. He says, let's start with a different problem. You're in an ancient or medieval village and raiders attack. There are a few places to hide, such as chapels, castle keeps, or root cellars, but there isn't enough room for everyone. The question is, how do you prioritize? And then he goes into that paragraph I read. In a sexist patriarchal society, if you're the man, you're likely to have the combat training.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's him altering the hypothetical to get to what I was saying, which is survival is a
Dennis,
struggle.
you need to put it in the context of a movie or I don't understand.
This is Sparta! No.
What I was going to say is...
Okay, I can work
There
with
you
that.
go.
So,
Okay.
300,
So that is
okay.
interesting because also, is there a possibility of being able to successfully defend the village from the raiders?
It sounds like he's suggesting that.
Yeah, that throws a monkey wrench into the whole thing.
Yeah, it does.
It's an
Because
interesting
you can't keep the boat from sinking.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've been playing some Red Dead 2, and I feel like, I guess it's medieval and not cowboys.
That would be benevolent ableism.
But he says, fast forward to the Titanic. I'm assuming that someone in a lifeboat has a chance of being picked up and anyone else has none. Here, the rule of thumb breaks down. It's easy to maximize the number of survivors, just fill the lifeboats. Now the question isn't how can we make more people live? It's how can we get the optimal people to live? I don't want to define optimal. It could be those with the most life ahead of them, or the most virtuous people, or those who have contributed the most to society. That's an interesting discussion, but it would take much longer than the passengers on the Titanic had. The point is simply that women and children first is a rule of thumb based on rules that don't apply on the Titanic.
Fair point.
Yeah.
I feel like
I
at
also
this-
don't like the idea of optimal people.
Yes.
Ugh, I want to stay away from
I
that.
say, yeah, survival of the Titanic belongs to the strong.
What color is your skin? Will we allow you on the boats?
I was going to say, you're proposing
I had
back
to
in the
go
day
there.
they let black people on the boat.
It's a bad road.
Yeah.
Did they? Were there people with dark skin on the Titanic?
I think it was the Irish that was kind of...
Well, the Irish were...
I don't know.
Or they're in the lower
they're
levels.
different. Yeah.
But again, I'm stuck in the movie, so...
Well, no, that's true. So until
what's the movie canon?
Until WASPs realize, like, oh wait, if we exclude everyone, then we're not.
What do bees have to do with this?
We have to separate the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. In the United States, we have to go like, oh, okay, I guess we'll accept the Italians as us. And then, oh, okay, I guess we'll accept the Irish, but never black people. So,
So at the end of that discussion last episode, I think, did it segue into the trolley problem, or was
yeah,
it did.
I think we got a trolley problem.
Yeah, well, we got a response to that too.
Thank you for the last email, by the way. I forgot.
Yes.
I think we figured out what our viewers like.
Thank
which
you,
is
Andrew. Yeah.
Open-ended philosophical questions.
And it works. It works.
I love when we do the philosophy stuff.
Yeah. Also, email in all the time. Do it.
Yeah. Chuck says,
Hey, Chuck.
Hey, Chuck.
people discussing the problem never seem to include the concept of one's responsibility for one's own safety. It's dangerous to be on trolley tracks and much more dangerous to be on the main line than to be on a side track. If 5 people are in danger because they chose to take a risk, is it fair to save them by sacrificing someone else who is not taking that risk? I would not divert the trolley. Okay, he's taking a really practical look at this.
He's taking it like, well, it's their own damn fault they got on the tracks.
That's right, they got on the tracks. What the hell's wrong with these people?
That is sort of the question is like, wait a minute, why the hell are these people just hanging out on the tracks, not moving away?
Well, we have to assume they were all tied up and placed on the tracks by Snidely Whiplash, that bastard.
Oh, the one with the...
Yes. With a huge handlebar mustache, yes.
Also, I didn't know anything about side tracks versus main track. You know,
I haven't
side
heard
quest
that
versus
either.
main quest studios about which is more dangerous. Certainly, I would say running over 5 people has to be more dangerous for your trolley than running over 1.
Yeah,
Well, that's not a danger to the... You're
Is the
talking about
trolley
a
the one
danger
where
to the
they have the
trolley.
big thing and they're like-
the trolley's not in any danger.
Well, no. Like, so I don't know. Maybe it's
The
a
trolley's
small.
severing limbs right
It's
and
a
left,
trolley
right
that
and left and
only
laughing the whole time.
It's a trolley that only has you on it.
Okay, I have a better scenario. And I heard this in the past. So there's a guy who operates one of those bridges that move up and down, so that large boats can pass through.
Yeah.
He took his son to work one day, and his son fell within the gears, and as a large ship was approaching, and so he was given the dilemma of pushing his button crushing his son, or saving his son and allowing this ship to crash into the
bridge.
the bridge.
What occurred?
What do you do? What's the right answer? So that's the
What's the right answer?
yeah.
Depends what's on the bridge. If it's only...
none
if
of the
it's
bridge.
only-
It's the boat that's he only has seconds to begin the initiation
Right.
to raise the bridge to allow this cruiser to pass through. If he doesn't, it crashes and sinks. If he does, he kills his son. And he has to listen to these gears crush his son slowly.
Well, he can plug
Yeah.
his ears.
No.
That's
Near.
Wow.
crunch.
That's not a reasoned response.
Well, no. So
you
it's
could not have a reasoned response in that
Right. I
situation.
think it's a little bit more-
It'd have to be a completely emotional response, and it would probably be save the kid. Don't.
Yeah. So that's applying to what Chuck was saying. I was just kind of emphasizing this story in relation to that story.
Wow.
what's on the boat?
Passengers.
Like, if it's a passenger,
Plus 500. Let's say
boat
plus 500.
full of 500 kids, then you have just an elevated trolley problem,
Right.
and it's one of the ones where
horrible.
you know one of the people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it happened in real life, so
Ugh.
So the first thing that jumped out at me was it's their fault that they're on the tracks is well, like, hey, if you didn't want to be poor, then you shouldn't have been poor.
Yes. He's
people
blaming
are
the victims.
It feels a little callous to me.
in general, people are better able to control where they happen to be in a moment than what their socioeconomic
Usually,
potential
yes.
is.
Yeah. But yeah, I haven't heard
was
that one.
reasonable.
Usually the trolley problem that I hear is you're up on a ledge and not on the tracks. And you can just pull a lever
Right,
and that's how
right.
you do it. You don't have to get onto the tracks. But, I mean, that is a good, little wrinkle to kind of make it a little bit more complicated.
The good place explores the trolley problem. hilarious way.
Yeah, when you have to put yourself on the line to help others, it gets definitely more complicated.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, that also lends to is it dangerous for the people on the trolley to hit a thing?
The trauma of running over 5 people.
Well, no, I mean, okay, so a trolley is a wheeled vehicle on tracks, and human bones and flesh and crunchy crunchies under those tires, under those wheels.
Those steel wheels.
Could, I don't know.
Could.
How heavy, because when cars run over people.
So you could run over the 5 people, yet those 5 people would have their revenge by derailing the trolley.
I don't really. Okay, I don't think that. Oh, you killed me in a way that hurt you counts as revenge.
No, not really.
There's always stories about hauntings at railroad crossings, so maybe we can prove the paranormal. Win-win.
There you go.
False. Okay. So paranormal hauntings always happen to be in conveniently creepy places, unlike the
railroad tracks are creepy.
No. Yeah, but the reason for that is that it's a thing in the human mind. No one's ever gone like, "Oh, I was walking through a convenience store and then the ghost appeared."
The ghost of Kroger's.
No. Just in
the wrong side of the
Kroger's.
railroad
No
track.
one's ever walked into a Kroger's and been like, "Oh, I need to go get milk," and a ghost is coming over. I died choking on milk.
When I die, I think I'm going to haunt you.
Yeah, well, haunt me in a non-creepy place then. Show up. I'll be shopping, bargain, and you'll be like, I'm haunting this Walmart because you shouldn't shop here.
No, I'll be
and
like,
we can have a debate about the economics.
I'd be like, bleh.
It's the best possible haunting.
There you go.
Email us in. How would you like to be haunted?
And who would you like to be haunted by? I am taking orders right now.
I was going to say, yeah, actually, let's do it.
Okay.
If you could choose someone else to suffer exactly the same haunting that you do, there it is. Because I want so-and-so to be haunted.
Thank you, everyone, for your emails. Absolutely. Feel free to email us at, what's that, Jamie?
TheNonProphets at atheist-community.org.
That's correct.
Yes.
Or wait, no,
We're
sorry.
haunt.
Sorry, it's
Would you haunt? Is anybody that's pissed you off that you would haunt?
Nonprofits Radio.
Oh,
It's up on the screen.
I'd have
It'll
to
be
think
there.
about it.
You have to think about it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, now I'm haunting you.
Yes, we're happy to abuse all your questions.
I'm haunting all of you. I'm haunting you. I'm haunting your pets. All of y'all.
I'm a haunt all y'all. I'm a haunt you. I'm a haunt your cow.
Haunt your cat.
Yeah.
You know,
And your dog, too.
To the people that got
And your
my
little
reference.
dog, too.
obviously we need to reverse it so we have, living people haunting the dead. That would be.
I think that's
called the Ouija board.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh, good point.
That's what seances are for. We're just like, hey, I know you're trying to rest eternally in this universe where there's an afterlife, but can you help me find my car keys?
So this brings up an interesting story, and I just recently researched this, and this is the story of the Witch of Endor. So as you know, witches were outlawed. It was penalty of death. And Saul had stopped receiving voices from God and wasn't instructing him anymore.
Uh-huh.
And so he sought out this witch, who was the Witch of Endor. And you know what she did? She actually summoned from heaven, pulled him out from what he was doing, whatever in heaven, and summoned him to commune with her and Saul, the prophet Samuel.
Summon Samuel.
Wait,
Yes.
didn't the Empire destroy Endor?
No.
Yeah.
No.
No.
This is
Endor survivor.
Yeah, this is 2000 before the Battle of Yavin.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
Yeah, gotta watch out for that.
Only 2000.
Ish.
They were both.
Plus a long
it was
time
both
ago.
a long time.
Wait.
ago.
Yeah, plus
Is
a long
this-
time ago.
Is this
Long
the
time.
old chronology or the new chronology? Does the new chronology,
No,
it doesn't.
the current one still use BBY and ABY?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
should have said the
Finish-
Death Star. My bad.
Ewok.
Finish
man,
the point.
Ewok.
Yeah. And so what happened?
Anyways, so my point is that witches have the ability to summon the dead and do
From
their bidding,
heaven.
to do their bidding, which was to communicate with Saul. And so what he did was
Wow.
he told Saul, here's where you're fucking up. Can you imagine you be in heaven and it's like, oh shit, I got to go down there.
That's what Willow did in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Plucked her out of heaven.
Yeah.
Well, that was the singing episode.
No. The singing episode came after. That was the reveal of the
That's
emotional
when they...
drive. So here's my question. Can you command the spirit? Or is it just like, hey, come over to my place here on Earth. I've got some questions for you. Bazap, you're here. Like,
do you think a prophet that is in heaven will do anything but be commanded by a witch?
That is kind of weird.
It is weird. It's a weird story.
I'll be honest,
I'm a
I'm
non-prophet.
If the story doesn't mention that he was kind of offended at this, that's really kind of weird.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is one of the things that I've heard, though I haven't verified, so if you want to do my research for me, that'd be great. Otherwise, I'm going to have to add it to my list, is that the passage that says, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live, was they thought of being able to construct poisons as witchcraft. And they lived in small communities that would have like a single well, if that. So it's like if there is a person who is capable of destroying the entire tribe, you got to kill him first.
Yep.
Preemptive strike, man.
When you're describing this, I
magic.
went, that must be where the mother in Bewitched got her name. Endora?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it says, the witch of Endor is a woman Saul consulted to summon the spirit of prophet Samuel in the 28th chapter of the first book of Samuel in order to receive advice against the Philistines in the battle after his prior attempts to consult God through sacred lots and prophets had failed.
Huh. Interesting. All right.
So witches are able to summon God's prophets to do their bidding.
Huh.
Take that, believers. Blah.
All right.
Well, they probably...
Mic drop.
They cannot only summon the devil, I guess. They can summon...
So to your point, to bring it all around, because I almost forgot what my point was, was that, yes, we can haunt the dead.
Good point.
We can't show up at their house so much.
True.
Right.
It's going to be a different kind of haunting. We bring them to us to be haunted by us.
It's reverse haunting.
Or call them in the middle of the night and wake them up, Jamie.
Yeah.
Hey,
I wanted to do a cartoon.
I didn't call you in the middle of the night.
It's like a cold situation.
I wanted to do a cartoon of a bunch of demons sitting around a pentagram summoning wizards. And a little pile of bones next to them,
Or we were talking on Atheist Vanguard about the Holy Spirit, and like how people get filled with the Holy Spirit and they speak in tongues and flop around the ground. Is that technically being possessed by the Holy Spirit?
Sounds like it, doesn't it? That's not how they usually behave. So
I think
something
that could be
them.
a semantic argument that would be difficult to kind of get a good conclusion with.
It would be something I use as a jab against them.
Being seized by the Spirit, whatever. You
Slain
could define
spirit.
that as possession, I suppose.
Or slain in the Spirit.
Yeah.
That's funny to watch. Especially when a deacon misses catching them.
Oh, yeah. They'll just keel over and then bonk. Ow. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good grief. Wave your jacket and have the whole first 3 rows all fall down. What's theater?
Benny Hinn.
There's one where he always asks, do you want it? Because he's got balconies and a giant fucking thing that could be used, I don't know, to house homeless people. He's like, oh, do you want it? And he goes, there. And they fall over and he goes, that's the power of the Holy Spirit. And he says it exactly the same way every time. He's got a little bit of an accent and he just says it 3 times in a row. Oh, do you want to? That's all the power of the Spirit. It's like, are you auctioning off the power of the Holy Spirit? People are dropping down.
Have you ever seen it where they replace it with certain? I've actually made a video where I replaced Benny Hinn's coat with a lightsaber. I've seen people do it where they replace it with the Street Fighter sounds and moves.
Oh, that one's pretty good.
Right. Mm-hmm. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm all out of mail at the moment.
Okay, I would like to talk about the Salvation Army.
Yeah.
No! Okay, go for it.
Cool. Let's do it.
I mean, it is that time of year. I haven't seen any of the Salvation Army people out at the store yet.
I have.
Yeah, have you?
Yeah, they're at the Walmart.
Those bells are so annoying.
Yep. If we need to do any investigation on the Salvation Army, we need to investigate, the decibel levels of those bells and how hearing damage they're causing from that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I haven't been grocery shopping.
I've been a little bit of a homebody lately. Yeah. So
So Salvation Army has
I feel like
problems.
a lot of people, the Salvation Army does get a little bit of flack, but I don't think it really gets enough. And sometimes people are reticent to criticize them openly because they get a lot of flack for, they do so much good.
Yeah.
Why would you? It's so wrong of you to come down on a charity that does so much good.
Yeah, it's like for the common person, because it's one of those sects of Christianity that people just go, oh yeah, there's that weird one that I know, right? Like Jehovah's Witnesses, people just go, oh yeah, they're different somehow, but whatever, right? Or, oh, Mormons, they smile, wear suits, and are somewhat different, I don't know, right? So it comes across to like the general populace is like, yeah, why are you picking on the weird kid? Leave him alone. Because they don't know that weird kid is stealing people's cats and murdering them or whatever.
Wow.
I'm not accusing the Salvation Army of murdering people's pets.
That was dark.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the Salvation Army a little bit because they are a nonprofit and they are, not so great. They do good, yes, admittedly, but they also do some bad. And I will put it that I think that you should boycott the Salvation Army.
Okay.
I think it is absolutely a good and moral thing to do. And I think we're going to...
Tell us why.
I think we're going to make a little bit of a case for it.
I'd like to, just as a quick, it's that time of season, the people ringing bells outside the front, that money goes to the Salvation Army to do whatever they want with it.
Yeah.
You don't know where your money is going. It isn't necessarily spent locally. Oh, there may be a Salvation Army run a homeless shelter, or what are the other things they do?
Goodwill thing.
Yeah, one of those, but you don't know that your money is being spent on that. It could be being spent anywhere, and they have they've involved themselves in politics over the years. So here we are.
Is there any open documentation as far as, like, say, supervisory management, CEOs? Do we have any clear idea as far as how much they make?
So I'll be honest, because it is a religiously designated nonprofit organization, I didn't look because I know that they're not required to file 990s. Right. So it's quite possible we have no idea.
Yeah, to be clear, the Salvation Army is a church, first and foremost, and a charity second. That way, they are not legally required to divulge any of their finances. Everything that we know about how they spend their money is stuff that they willingly divulge. So, I mean, yes, they get a passing grade by foundations like Charity Watch that they take a look at charities and make sure that they are on the up and up. But because of the transparency issue that the Salvation Army has as a church, doesn't divulge its finances, it cannot be rated among, Charity Watch's top charities because they really don't know. They really don't know how much of the money that you give, the money that you put in the kettle, we don't know to what extent that is being put back out into needy communities.
Yeah, or being used to fund an organization that lobbies governments in more than 100 countries. They exist in more than 100 companies, and we're aware of lobbying efforts in many of those for things relating to human rights, and on the wrong side of that as well.
Yeah, so. And as far as we don't know where the money's going,
sometimes we find it.
Just a little bit that I was able to find. As a church, they actually provide homes and cars and all kinds of amenities to their employees instead of just a regular salary, like like a regular nonprofit or business would.
Yeah,
weird. Okay,
so I wouldn't say a fair portion. A portion of the money that you would give to Salvation Army would be paying for the home and the vehicle and the amenities of the employees, not just their salaries and not just the charity work that they do.
What level of employees do we know?
Well, let's see. Lieutenant Colonel Lionel and Patty Richardson, they recently left a home worth $365,000 paid for by the Salvation Army and moved to a new location just a few miles away, and a brand new home was built from the ground up that the cost of the home and the land was $544,319.
Tax-free.
Tax-free.
Right, so that's what your little coin in the thing is.
So a portion of your kettle donation is going to buying extravagant homes for a select minority of
high-ranking officials.
High-ranking officials.
Clergy.
They basically.
Gosh.
So is their hierarchy structured in a way like a Salvation Army? So I guess
they're a pretend military organization.
Yeah. This is my shocked face. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You said that after pretend military, and I was like, yeah, no one thinks they have guns. The head of the church is the general, and they've got ranks and stuff.
Are they warriors of God?
No. Ironically, I don't know that they use the phrase spiritual warfare. I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think that they do, at least not as often as evangelical Pentecostals in the United States. So it's sort of.
So, Jamie, Derek, I know you guys have some more specifics, but before we get into that, I want to mention before I forgot, there is part of the problem that I think arises with giving money to questionable charities is psychologically we have a problem kind of diverting our empathy in our charity. It's one of the reasons why a lot of charities that they give to, like, say, needy children, they'll only have a picture of one child up at a time when it's a commercial.
Yeah.
Because it's easier for you to empathize with a single child. If they put up 2 or a dozen or so children, something happens in our psyche that it feels more daunting.
Yeah.
And you're actually less likely.
Less personal.
You're less likely to go ahead and say, I'm going to go ahead and donate.
Right.
In that same way, I think you are less likely to donate to better charities that do more good, that are more transparent, if you have already donated to the Salvation Army, which we don't know to what extent they actually do good. Their primary focus is proselytization, and at least some of their money goes directly to just housing its employees.
If I can piggyback on it, I have their mission statement out. I'd just like to quickly read it. The Salvation Army is an international movement, is an evangelical part of the Universal Christian Church. Its message is based on the Bible. Its ministry is motivated by the love of God. Its mission is to preach. Its mission, number 1, is to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. And number 2, to meet the human needs in his name without discrimination.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that sort of, to me, is the, like, why would you go through a church for that? Because churches and religious organizations that have a God and put that God first, by definition, are putting humans at best second. Which is not what I want from an organization whose mission is to help humans, or should be to help humans.
Now, are they evangelical? Are they Protestant?
No. So they're Protestant. So the sect is a breakaway from Methodism. It was founded in 1865 in the UK by a former Methodist circuit preacher. And that's actually the guy that gave them their, like, military title structure. Because he
William Booth.
William Booth.
Yep.
So and his wife. Do they not mention his wife on their own website?
No. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
His wife doesn't matter. No.
It doesn't matter to them is the point.
Okay.
So she's a Army Mother Booth.
Okay.
Catherine Booth, also known as Army Mother.
Okay. I'm going to just leave that one right there. I don't.
Yeah. So I think don't give your money to discriminatory organizations that have low transparency in terms of how that money is going to be allocated, because you're less likely to give it to better organizations.
You only have so much money you can donate.
Yeah.
Allocate those resources as effectively as possible.
Most of us live paycheck to paycheck. We only have so much to give. You're absolutely right. So I think...
choose wisely.
I think that we should boycott discriminatory organizations and put our money elsewhere.
Yeah. Think so.
Seems
reasonable to me.
Oh, hey, I've discovered a bolus of more emails. So
okay.
Do you want to do another email? Well, I mean, so
I feel like
unless we want to
part
do
of the
something
thing
else.
that financial stuff with the Salvation Army, which I think has happened before as well and has been an ongoing thing. This is part of why, just from a practical perspective, even thinking from the perspective of a Christian, you wouldn't want the level of tax exemption for churches to be what it is today. You would want basically the same thing with transparency requirements so that you wouldn't make founding a church something that a person who deliberately wanted to defraud people would do.
Yeah.
Because right now, that's easier than founding we do cancer research. Oh, we help support a child. You can say, we're a church, show nothing, say nothing, report almost nothing to anyone, take people's money, and society in general has this trust of churches, even though institutionally exactly the opposite incentives are set up.
Right.
And sorry.
Well, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I have definitely mentioned that they are a discriminatory organization several times now. I think you have some details.
Speaking of, so the issue that the Salvation Army is best known for, if you know something bad about them, is the treatment and relationship with the LGBTQIA plus or the community or the GSRM community, which is shorter in what I prefer. Their theology is still that God says no. Basically, that's not their words, but that's mine. Additionally, relatively recently, they clarified that they will not. I forget what it is. They don't use the word invest like other people do, but they don't provide benefits to same-sex partners of their employees, even and in any place that they can. They will not promote. I forget. All of their words are different because they've decided they're an army, but they won't make people that engage in same-sex relationships officers in the Salvation Army.
Okay. So there's a promotional, I want to say ceiling to, I guess, people within the GRSM community.
Yeah, it's none. Additionally, if you, in terms of their adherence, they're another of the practice a life of celibacy.
That's right.
Group,
right. You can be gay, just don't have sex.
Yeah, you can be gay, just don't be gay. You know, basically, yeah. I don't know. They appear. I have found no statements about whether or not acting super gay is forbidden in their church either.
Just engaging.
Yeah, like if you're like, oh my God, I'm in the Salvation Army and I practice celibacy. Like, I don't know whether they would object to that as much as the people that want to advocate for social justice are going to object to me doing that impression.
Yeah, so they do have a Q&A on this topic.
Oh, probably.
About if the scripture forbids sexual intimacy between same sex,
different sex
which hopes to embrace in celibacy. Their weird answer is this position statement also states that there is no scriptural support for the demeaning or mistreating of anyone for this reason, for his or her sexual orientation, among other things. So it's important to look at the statement in its full context.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That is
what it means is
red herring that is completely irrelevant.
It's also wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you demean someone when you kill them with rocks.
And it has no scriptural support.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's interesting is that I mean,
that's what they're saying.
That's not.
That's
accurate.
what they said.
Yeah, Leviticus. But I mean, it doesn't say be mean to them and then kill them with rocks.
It also hasn't stopped them in the past.
Yeah, it hasn't stopped them in the past. It seems like if I'm looking from the outside and I haven't done as
They're
much
using
research.
abomination in a good way.
Yeah. As in, it's Obama's nation. which again I saw on bumper stickers in opposition to it. But I'd like to do more research because it seems like there's a kind of cultural churning happening within where there's if I had to guess, I would say there's people that go, well, they're gay, but we still want to feed them because they've tried to emphasize like, no, we provide care and concern and love for everyone, even if they're going to hell. They don't say that, or I think preach very much in a fire and brimstone way. But they've tried to, because they do homeless shelters and that kind of stuff, say, no, we'll house anyone. And our theology is based on anyone can be saved in Christ. And it's why they oppose the death penalty and euthanasia, and they oppose abortion. Interestingly, they're the only super duper bigamous Maximus old church that I'm aware of. You know what I mean generally. I just don't have a specific phrase for it. That on the issue of abortion has gone, except in issues of rape or incest, or at least that I know of. It's possible, but I was somewhat taken aback, like, I thought with theology, God's word was God's word, that was done, and there's no exceptions. But they seem to be one that's sort of influenced by their, like, we just want to be helpful and good, except when it comes to what the government does or requires in terms of equality and hiring practices. They pressured the Bush administration. They pressed President Bush in 2001 for exemptions for requirements for equal hiring practices and service providing. And then, of course, there's little incidents from people that are Salvationists, or it was actually one of the Santas. There was an issue in, it was either 2012, 2013, 2014, one of those 3 years, I can find it in my notes, where a person was ringing their super loud bell dressed as Santa with a sign that said, if you support gay marriage, don't donate, as well. To which there was a reaction, and to the credit, as much as they can earn, of the local command center, I've forgotten what the name of that is, they pulled that person off the street and went, no, never mind, we don't want to be mean, blah. So it seems like...
That was super valid, though.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you, to be quite honest, I might, if I was to wear a sandwich board with things and stand next to and heckle a Santa, I wouldn't, because that's not my style.
I have one for you.
Yeah.
I have one. In 2012, they asked, did a Salvation Army officer in Australia suggest in a radio interview that the Army's theology calls for gays and lesbians to be put to death?
Yeah.
This is from the official Q&A page.
Yes.
Their website.
Their website. First answer, it is, of course, ludicrous to think that the Salvation Army believes or teaches anything close to what is suggested in that interview. Number two, the Army's leadership worldwide issued public statements condemning remarks immediately after the news broke. Now, here's the crux of the stuff. The officer was responding to a question about a Bible passage which most Christians understand to be discussion of spiritual death, meaning a separation from God, their creator. Guess which verse that was probably they were talking about?
Leviticus.
Right.
It doesn't mean that.
It is the instance the scripture was unfortunately misinterpreted. Bullshit.
I mean... To their credit, I'm glad that their leadership is deliberately misinterpreting the Old Testament so they can be nicer. But that's not what the writing meant.
And actually, the last statement, an instance that scripture was unfortunately misinterpreted, not by the radio interviewer, by you.
Yeah.
If you're going to try to follow this bullshit excuse.
Yeah. They also mean by the officer, probably. So the thing is, it seems like...
The officer was saying that it was a spiritual death, is it what he was referring to?
Yeah.
And that's the true interpretation.
We want to make the words...
I'm not giving them that one.
I'm not giving them that one either.
Yeah. No, I mean, they're wrong. That's not what the Bible says. But, it's sort of like talking to your friend who supports the Patriots about, like, hey, remember that scandal with the G? And then they just throw up excuses, etc. Like, it's...
Sure.
No.
That Tom Brady was a cheat?
Yeah, you throw that up and you go, oh yeah, what about Deflategate? And they go, but the summary statement didn't say conclusively they did. And it's like, okay, well, read through the evidence, as I did at the time. I feel like I bring up this example because I had a particular friend that was very insistent that the Patriots were all above board in everything that had ever happened. You read through it and you have the text messages between the two of them. And you go, oh, look, here's the evidence. They go, nah. It's sort of like that because it seems like, at very least, the higher levels of leadership want the Bible to be a nicer book than it is.
Did your friend watch Fox News too?
No.
They do that a lot.
No,
there
he was left wing, right? More so than I am, actually. I mean, that's not saying a lot, but yeah, I mean, he wasn't one of the socialist or anarchist friends that I met, but he also wasn't one of the super right wing.
I was just bringing it up. It seems like that seems to be our Trump supporter friends. You know, that's kind of what they do. Is like no matter how evidence is thrown to them. No.
Well, I was gonna say that's a human thing.
No.
That's human. You've done that before at some point.
No.
Not about Trump.
No.
You're doing it right now.
Yeah.
Back to that. Don't they use the exact same excuse when it comes to what is your stance on homosexuality as an organization? Now they say no, we don't hate gay people. We just adhere to the biblical description.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they go to the Bible as a dodge for both of those.
Yeah.
And they choose to misinterpret one and then choose to correctly interpret the other one, but yet it's still a dodge no matter what.
It is, yes.
It is absolutely a meaningless answer.
Yeah. Because that's sort of, it's one of those things where it's like they're really, really trying to be nice. It's just they're coming from a place that doesn't let them.
So here's what they're coming from. Here's what they're coming from. It says, it is also important to note that our position statements are meant primarily as a theological guide for our church members and in no way impact our commitment to non-discrimination. This is exactly what you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't hate gay peoples because they hate them. They hate gay people because the Bible tells them to.
Yeah, it's just a warped thing of hate the sin, not the sinner.
Yeah, it's sort of like
beliefs have consequences.
It's very much like cognitive dissonance, the public statement by an organization. It's like, well, we preach this to our members, but when we're actually out there doing things, attempting to act out the will of God, we do it differently. Okay, well, don't you think that if you're preaching that to your members, that when Salvationists go out, they're going to listen to the preachings that you preach at them? You preachers?
Preach.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting and annoying. And
yeah, they have a pretty long history of just being openly discriminatory, such that Chick-fil-A actually cut ties with them very recently.
Oh,
Chick-fil-A.
wow. If Chick-fil-A cuts ties.
to try and wash their hands of their controversies. Like, okay, we can't do anything with the Salvation Army.
And no more delicious sandwiches for you. I hate to say it, but they are delicious. It was a big sacrifice for me to give them up.
There's so much better chicken out there.
Where?
It's market. Look, you know what? After this, I'm going to have you call Josh, and he can list 5 off the top of his head. He's at work right now, but after that, he really does.
Apparently,
and he makes
Popeyes.
better chicken. Yeah, Popeyes
doesn't have a chicken sandwich.
Popeyes is better chicken. It doesn't matter.
Take me there then.
The thing that Chick-fil-A does better than other chicken and fast food places is they get you your food faster because they train the ever-loving shit. Can I say shit without getting demonetized? I don't know. They train the ever-loving poop. I'll use Chick-fil-A appropriate language out of their employees so that they can get you a chicken sandwich in like a minute. It's like the Jimmy John's of chicken sandwiches if Jimmy John's was run by like Baptist evangelicals that want to take my rights away.
But I like there's ketchup things. It has that little thing at pull and you can twist it and you can pour it on the side.
What? Okay, I'm going to buy you a bottle of ketchup and then stop. and then we're done. All right.
They have the waffle fries, and that's the only thing special that they do. Okay?
Well, I mean, other places do waffle fries.
Right.
Praise Jesus.
Okay.
I don't know about chicken places.
They don't even get that then.
I just meant there are other like restaurants and stuff.
How did we move to Chick-fil-A entirely?
Well, we got to Chick-fil-A because Chick-fil-A stopped or talked about not donating to the Salvation Army specifically because, or they they equivocated on why or something. The Salvation Army's, at very least, reputation with the LGBTQIA plus community and the treatment thereof. Yeah. So there's
hold on. Chick-fil-A is mad at the Salvation Army for how they treat gay people.
So I would say let's get down to the very, very, very brass tacks of what happened with Chick-fil-A, which was they said, we give money every year to organizations, and this year we're gonna not do these, and then that was it. Right. And then there was a backlash.
Yeah.
And since then, I've lost track of the story. So they may have reneged and gone back to it, but they didn't make a statement about, like, we're standing up for rights and don't like God anymore or whatever. That'd be a friggin' hell of a statement, actually.
They stopped.
I would feel obligated to buy a chicken sandwich just to be like, all right, they're going out of business soon. So. Yeah, if they came out and said, actually, we're an atheist organization now, or if they said, we're secular, we take no stance on God, and if local franchisees want to have their restaurant open on Sunday, they are now permitted to. If they did that, I think they would be out of business in like a year.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. It takes time to completely switch your clientele.
Yeah. There would be a lot of
So is their clientele that huge of an impact?
Yeah. It's a symbolic issue. In Texas, the whatever freedom religion means you can do whatever you want bill was called the Chick-fil-A bill, and they had people there from Chick-fil-A standing next to our governor when he signed it, talking about how, we're doing this so that good companies like Chick-fil-A can do this. So don't tell me that I'm being, uppity or whatever other word you want to use about having a problem with Chick-fil-A. It's not that I'm making them a symbol. They've done that themselves. They've said, no, we're standing on this, we're a symbol of this, etc. And it's like, okay, cool, great, excellent brand marketing. You can keep your fucking chicken. I don't want it.
I'm just curious because, like with the current political situation, you have a political party who is placating to a small portion of people, a very vocal portion of people, but very loud. And I'm wondering, how much in the Chick-fil-A community just don't care. They just like the sandwich, and they like the little ketchup containers.
Sorry, I'm chuckling at the phrase, the Chick-fil-A community.
The CFC.
The customers of Chick-fil-A.
I don't know. I suspect we'd be surprised.
There's a lot that do not care.
Yeah.
And there are those that do.
There are a lot that do.
Like I'm reiterating our political situation where we have a minority in the United States who our president is placating to, and just basically that's who he's focused on. But
that's the foundation of his base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's appeasing his base. Are they appeasing their base?
So the Salvation Army.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Those friggin' guys.
So the Salvation Army is slightly different. So Chick-fil-A
we just got too off track.
I'm just curious, what is the connection between Chick-fil-A and the Salvation Army?
That one thing, and they are both large, well-moneyed American corporations, one for-profit, one not for-profit, that have interacted with governments, multiple internationally, on behalf of anti-LGBTQIA stances and policies.
So my question is, why did they sever contact with each other?
They didn't.
Okay.
So Chick-fil-A stopped giving money to the Salvation Army to try and clean up their image.
Okay.
Yeah, they had to do some damage control, apparently.
Which is
how did Salvation Army
indictment? That is a scathing indictment of the Salvation Army.
So what did the Salvation do to damage Chick-fil-A's image?
So the Salvation Army has a well-earned reputation for being anti-LGBTQIA.
And so does Chick-fil-A. So what is the problem?
So Chick-fil-A would like to appear less so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the thing that Chick-fil-A has
I think they could do something better, though, but okay.
I mean, they could... I think at one point they released a pride sandwich or something. Because they're trying to walk that line because they realize...
I don't want a rainbow-colored
neither do I. I don't
sandwich.
That
sounds nasty.
They're beholden to their customers in this way because that's who pays the...
Do they have a chicken that goes, buck, bitches?
No, their mascot
like
is
to see that.
their mascot is a cow. They're cows.
Okay, moo moo buckaroo.
Saying,
Right.
eat more chicken. Because in the story I've been told is that in the original restaurant they had a cow walking around with a sign that said "Eat more chicken," and we're gonna get Kevin to explode if we keep going down rabbit holes this way. So the Salvation Army. Are you satisfied with the stuff?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So the Salvation Army has a lengthy and checkered history with its. I'll say non-support or opposition to human rights. So I can quote it going back to 1986 when the Salvation Army campaigned throughout New Zealand, that most prosperous and excellent of countries, against the repeal of a law that criminalized homosexuality. Right, so one of the laws that made a man lying with a man illegal was going to be, and they campaigned against that in 1986. In 1997, much more recently, the city of San Francisco enacted a law requiring all companies doing business within the city to extend domestic benefits to same-sex partners of employees. If they were going to work with the city. The Salvation Army said, well, fine, we won't work with the city, even though that would have been a $3.5 million contract. So they would have been $3.5 million contract to provide services to those in need. And they said, oh, you want us to pay benefits to our employees' partners, even if they've got the same genitalia? No way, Jose. The extra people that would have housing and food and protection from the elements can go hungry and unhoused because we don't like the gays.
I feel like San Francisco is a pretty big city, and I really kind of doubt that such a transparently bigoted organization, especially back in 97, I really doubt they had very many openly homosexual employees.
Openly, probably not. And then also...
Well, they would have to be openly homosexual in order to be asking for these benefits.
Yeah. They would have to,
I feel like it is almost certain that this was completely symbolic. They wouldn't have lost any additional money by paying benefits to their employees' partners. It was completely...
Yeah.
It wouldn't have cost them any extra money.
Ideologically driven.
And it cost the people of San Francisco a great deal because they did not get the help that the Salvation Army could have given them. Again, they do
$3.5 million contract.
Good work. I'm not saying that they don't.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that they're also a questionable organization.
But wait, there's more. So it
got one
continues
after you got
to the year 2000 when the Salvation Army in the United Kingdom publicly opposed the repeal of a local government act which prevented local authorities from intentionally promoting homosexuality. So there is an old law from the 80s that said, oh, you can't... local authorities cannot intentionally promote homosexuality. That was what the law was. It was going to be repealed. And in the year 2000, the year of their Lord, 2000, the Salvation Army campaigned against that, like a political organization, rather than a homeless shelter. The Salvation Army in the Western Territory approved a plan. This is maybe a glimmer of hope, to start offering domestic partnership benefits to employees in same-sex relationships in 2001. That was met with backlash from outside and inside the organization, and nothing came of it. In 2001, they also pressed the Bush administration, as I alluded to exempt them and other religious groups from anti-discrimination legislation, which it felt infringed on the organization's religious freedoms. My editorial here, to be discriminatory. Just in case you're wondering, your also individual right to be discriminatory is being infringed upon by the government right now. For the benefit of all society, and I'm in favor of that. The request was denied, which is great. I wouldn't have expected that from the Bush administration, so kudos. There's also 2004. The Salvation Army said that it would close operations in New York City, that giant place with lots of homeless people.
Metropolis?
There it is. unless it was exempted from a municipal ordinance requiring them to offer benefits to gay employees' partners. They just can't.
They're just determined.
They just can't get over the fact that gay people love each other.
Again, I really, really doubt that they have
That many
more than a small handful of openly out employees.
It's
meaninless.
Yeah, it's not a business calculation.
Financially meaningless.
So, Jamie, in that same year, apparently they were trying to subjugate their employees to a litmus test, a religious litmus test, in order to be employed for social service work. Their answer, again, this is on their own website. Their answer to that was the United States District Court for the Southern District of New York held that this discrimination claims against the Salvation Army were unfounded. That's point one. Point two, as asserted in a unanimous decision by the Supreme Court as recently as 2012, the law permits religious organizations like the Salvation Army to consider religion in making its employment decisions. So in one statement, they're saying, no, it was unfounded. And in the second statement, they're saying, but it's okay that we do that.
like, we didn't do it, but we could have.
Wow.
And in years past, they petitioned the government to make sure that they could discriminate.
Yeah. The city council in 2004 in New York refused to make the exemption. Bloomberg's administration chose not to enforce the ordinance, and that decision by Michael R. Bloomberg was upheld by the New York State Court of Appeals in 2006. Also in 2006, they released a statement regarding the ill feelings that persisted following this activity. It's stated in part, we do understand, though, that the Salvation Army's official opposition to the reform bill was deeply hurtful to many and are distressed that ill feelings still troubles our relationship with segments of the gay community, like those that would like to be treated like everyone else. We regret any hurt that may remain from that turbulent time, and our present hope is to rebuild bridges of understanding and dialogue between our movement and the gay community. Presumably, that doesn't include us changing our mind.
Right. On our terms.
Yeah. There's a somewhat complicated back and forth incident in 2008 in Austin, Texas, where there was I wasn't able to do a sufficient amount of research to be able to draw a conclusion, so I'm passing that one, but for anyone that is double-checking my research, I didn't miss it entirely. That, and then actually around 2010 and through 2013, they had a position statement on same-sex and same-sex orientations on their website that individuals and organization critically noted, that stated, Scripture forbids sexual intimacy between members of the same sex. The Salvation Army believes, therefore, that Christians whose sexual orientation is primarily or exclusively same-sex are called upon to embrace celibacy as a way of life. There is no scriptural support for same-sex unions as equal to or as an alternative to heterosexual marriage. Likewise, there is no scriptural support for demeaning or mistreating anyone for a reason of his or her sexual orientation. The Salvation Army opposes any such abuse. In keeping with these convictions, the services of the Salvation Army are available to all who qualify without regard to sexual orientation. So they will feed you regardless of who you sleep with, but they're not going to hire you or tell you that your values are consistent with theirs, regardless of what else you think or believe or do. It's interesting to note that they may be the only church that has a problematic mission statement that recognizes that bisexual people exist, because it's primarily or exclusively same-sex, right? What if it's just some? And they don't cover that, actually. What if it's primarily heterosexual, but like a little bit homosexual? They don't cover that. I think they would still say no, but that's kind of a funny exception I didn't think of before.
What's a little homosexual?
No.
Under 5'2"?
No.
I was going to say, you love your spouse, you're raising your children, but every now and then you just got to take a crazy trip to Vegas and then you come back.
Fire Island.
Fire Island.
So in terms of now, you covered a lot of stuff from the past. In terms of right now,
I got
as far
ones
as
from 2016 and 2019 as well.
As far as I can tell, the non-discrimination practices that they engage in now really are only because of the law. They make a big fuss about how they adhere to the law, and
they want credit for that.
Yeah, they want a lot of credit for not violating, discriminatory law. It's kind of like showing off your calendar where it doesn't say that you raped anybody. Weirdly bright.
Yeah, it's sort of like, I cussed him out and I told him he was terrible and I told him to go away, but I didn't punch him, so I'd like credit for that. Yeah. It's like, okay, what did the other guy do? Oh, he just wanted to have his marriage or domestic partnership treated like recognized as is every other one, and that's what you had.
Or about he just wanted a job.
That's all you had to do.
He just wanted a job, loves Jesus, likes
he just wanted a chicken sandwich.
Military, fatigues or whatever.
Just a chicken sandwich in that cool little ketchup container.
We're obeying the law, guys.
Chick-fil-A will sell me a chicken sandwich even if I walk in with a shirt that says I'm super gay, hooray, or whatever, presumably.
Presumably.
I haven't tried it. Yeah.
It's like, okay, we'll sell things to you or provide you services, but you ain't one of us sort of thing.
Hey, try getting on a plane wearing a Hail Satan t-shirt.
There you go.
You might get kicked off.
Illusions, yeah. So there's a sign, but up until November of 2013 here, I've taken more time with this than I should.
Yeah.
It was made known that the Salvation Army was referring LGBT individuals to one of several conversion therapy groups in the year 2013. Awesome. In the year 2016, the Salvation Army withdrew support for an Australian Safe Schools program, an LGBT anti-bullying program that's focused on LGBT students, stating that the provision of a government-approved anti-bullying program needs to consider all high-risk student groups. That's one of the sentences in there. It's longer. It talks generally about it's concerning to us that there's bullying. Yeah. No one should be mistreated. Basically, it's your nice but still homophobic aunt or grandma's organization. It's like, well, I don't want to be mean to anyone. I just want to not treat them the same legally. And then this year, actually last month, which is a part of good timing, they sponsored a halftime show for the Dallas Cowboys, and Ellie Goulding, a pop star, announced she was going to be there, and then people responded and said, why are you performing for a group that hates the gays, as they say? And she said, oh, no, don't do that. I'll talk to the Salvation Army, and evidently there were words exchanged or donations made, I don't know, that satisfied Ellie Goulding, and as far as I'm aware, the performance went on. But yeah, it's their responses to things are interesting, particularly given that, I think that I have said all that I will say at the moment.
Yeah, I guess kind of to reiterate my point is there are charities that do just the same kind of stuff that the Salvation Army does, but they don't hate gay people, and they're more transparent. And you're more likely,
and honest.
You're less likely to give to better organizations if you end up giving to the Salvation Army. So I would say, please don't give to the Salvation Army. Give to somebody else. Check out CharityWatch.org or .com. I think they rate charities. They're fantastic. Give to modestneeds.org.
Jamie the Heathen.
I am not a charity. That money will help me pay the rent if you do.
We live in a capitalist society, and that is the best way to enact change. If we want to see the Salvation Army change for the better, we need to show them with our dollars and give our money to better organizations.
Yeah. All right. Donate to the Trevor Project.
As far as I'm concerned, the Salvation is a naughty nonprofit.
And they suck at what they
Because
do.
it's the holiday season. Go
They suck at what they do. One last quick story. When I was living in New Hampshire, my sister was taking her kid, my nephew, to a Salvation Army camp where kids, and they're doing a Christmas program, and they did this whole play about the king, the King of Kings, blah blah blah. And so at the end of the thing, I asked my nephew, I'm like, so who is the King of Kings? And he goes, the Lion King. So they didn't even know what they were doing a play on.
Right.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
The Lion King.
So now that I used more time than I should have, do we want to do the American Airlines story?
Oh, we can do that.
Yeah.
We could use that echo more often.
Echo.
A woman wore a Hail Satan t-shirt on a plane. American Airlines forced her to change or get off the plane. The airline has since apologized, saying discrimination has no place at American Airlines. There's a picture of the Hail Satan shirt. It just says Hail Satan and with a little label established 666 and a little upside down cross.
Yeah.
And when American Airlines crew member asks Swati Rooney Goyal to get her things and follow him to the front of the plane during their October 30 flight from Florida to Nevada, she thought she was getting upgraded to first class. Instead, the 49-year-old Key West woman was told she had to either change her shirt or get kicked off the plane, all because the one she was wearing said, Hail Satan. No, Goyal is not actually a Satan worshiper, but she is a member of the Satanic Temple and bought the shirt to support the organization.
Irrelevant.
Though it is a recognized church, the Satanic Temple is a non-theistic and non-Satan worshipping religious organization. It's become well known for its activism on issues such as separation of church and state, free speech, and religious freedom. It's an ironic shirt, Goyal told BuzzFeed News. People usually laugh at it, or they give me a thumbs up because they understand the meaning behind it.
She's not
so
from
I'm
Texas.
assuming they also asked all the Jews to take off their yarmulkes and all the Christians to take off their cross necklaces, that kind of thing.
I'll be honest. If someone with a like larger than your hand sized cross bling went through security and was asked, hey, can you take that off and put it through the x-ray? And they said, no, because it's Jesus, I'm carrying it with it. Fox News would explode.
Yes.
Yeah. But here, actually, I don't like your shirt. Change it.
Yeah, so they took her to the front of the plane, and he said, our crew has found your shirt to be offensive, said Goyal. We initially just thought it was a joke, but he repeated the directive, and there was another female crew member who was behind him with her arms crossed, looking very angry. Goyal and her husband refused to get off the plane. The man said, your shirt is offensive. Do you know what that means? Goyal said, I'm a foreign-born minority woman. I understand offensive, and this shirt is not offensive.
Man.
According to American Airlines website, passengers are required to dress appropriately and avoid offensive clothing. The rules do not specify any further about what would be deemed inappropriate or offensive, leaving it up to crew members' discretion.
That's not a giant can of worms waiting to be opened.
No, not at all. The crew members did not let up, delaying takeoff and bringing a customer service agent on board to reiterate that she could not fly in the Hail Satan shirt. Goyal was shocked by the harsh response from the crew members, noting that she's worn the T-shirt many times in the past without incident, including on airplanes. Fortunately, her husband had two layers on, so he lent one to her. With the text of the shirt covered up, the crew allowed her to remain on the flight. Still, she said the crew avoided eye contact with her for the remainder of the flight, even ignoring her when the drink cart came around.
I'm sorry,
grief.
I would sue over that.
Yeah.
You don't like my clothing, that's one thing. But if I want to drink on a long flight.
Yeah, you keep me hydrated, bastards. Goyal said she found the whole situation pretty absurd and that she doubted anyone would have seriously believed her to be a Satan worshiper. I'm just an ordinary-looking person, she says. I'm not goth. I don't have piercings. I wasn't wearing a shirt that had a goat being beheaded on it.
I say, all right, now she's gonna risk offending some Satan worshippers. Actually,
well, again, it doesn't really matter,
Yeah.
Are they going to force again, are they going to force a Jewish person to put a baseball cap over their yarmulke before they allow for takeoff?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if there are white supremacists on the crew, is the fact that they're wearing a yarmulke offensive clothing?
Yeah.
If that's where you leave the decision making?
Boy, outrage culture, am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
The company did not initially apologize. A customer service rep emailed Goyal back saying that they have policies in place to ensure that no passengers are subjected to objectionable situations while on board.
Do those policies include a statement to their crew saying, toughen up, Buttercup, it doesn't matter?
Yeah, still the rep added that a copy of her email had been forwarded to the vice president of flight service, adding that the airline's flight attendants will be reminded of the importance of courtesy and professionalism in the face of a sensitive situation.
Did she hear back from him?
Goyal did not hear from the company again until she tweeted about her experience on Friday. Discrimination has no place at American Airlines, the company replied on Twitter, adding that it would investigate further and then reach back out to her.
I'm sorry, aren't they the ones that kicked the guy off the plane?
No, that was United.
Oh,
I
okay.
think.
We apologize to Miss. Finally, they contacted her and said, we apologize to Miss Goyal for her experience, and we are reaching out to her to understand what occurred.
Oh, you can apologize with money.
Later, Goyal told BuzzFeed's News that the airline had called and offered to refund both tickets and assured her that the investigation remained ongoing. This isn't American Airlines' first brush with dress code-related scandal. In July, the airline briefly removed a woman from a flight because a crew member thought her romper was too revealing.
What's a romper?
I don't
You can
know.
Google it. Yeah.
I'll Google it. You're fine.
It's also had numerous incidents involving religious and racial bias.
Hooray.
In September, 2 Muslim men said their flight was canceled after a flight attendant did not feel comfortable with them on the plane.
Are you...
Then maybe
Then
she should be removed.
Don't work on a plane if seeing a person who looks Muslim to you is going to make you scared to do your job.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, work for the Klan. There will be very few people that look like they're Muslims there.
The airline has had so many bias incidents when dealing with black passengers that the NAACP issued a travel advisory in 2017, warning black travelers against flying American Airlines. Okay, well,
Wow,
there you
that
go.
I didn't know. I was going to say, there's definitely some people that are going to make some ironic jokes and jabs about how it's American Airlines and is having these problems.
No, it's American.
It's Merkin.
Merkin Airlines.
Merkin
It
Airlines.
should change its name.
Definitely.
Merkin Airlines, you know. Actually, to be quite honest, that would be a potential marketing strategy.
Yes.
American.
Yeah. American
Only
Airlines.
American.
We stand up for free speech. They were just telling her that her clothes were offensive. Free speech. I'm not making this argument sincerely, but that's what it would fucking be. Oh, my free speech is
So,
offended that you exist. So I
what's
get
our
to
time looking
shoot you.
like?
I think we're at the...
I think we're overtime. Actually.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. I think
Shall I
we're-
take us out?
Yes.
Yeah. Wait,
All right. What?
Before
do you
you
got?
do, can you say naughty nonprofit real quick?
Sure.
Naughty.
Naughty nonprofit.
Totally worth the pause.
All right. Cool.
Definitely worth it. All right.
All right. Well, that was our show. But if it wasn't, we hope you enjoyed whatever show you watched. I'm sure it was fine. Either way, that show or this one will be back in 4 weeks on the 12th of January. Choose one and watch it.